Okay, so you want to dive deeper on these Tesla Optimus robots after that We Robot event.
Hmm.
Everyone saw those videos, right? Optimus walking around, shaking hands. It
Well,
seemed mind-blowing. And yeah, you're right to be curious what's really going on behind the scenes.
yeah.
We dug into the latest reports, and let me tell you, the reality of these so-called autonomous robots is a little more a little more complicated than Tesla's presentation might have led you to believe.
It's fascinating, isn't it? This whole thing, the way Tesla presented Optimus at the event, it really captured everyone's imaginations.
Totally.
But like with many things, especially in tech, like they say, the devil's in the details.
For sure. For example, remember all those videos of Optimus just casually chatting with people at the event? Turns
Yeah.
out a lot of those conversations, they were actually being, get this, carefully orchestrated by like human operators behind the scenes.
Yeah, there's been a lot of buzz online about this.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of discussion, a lot of people chiming in,
Wow.
and a lot of firsthand accounts seem to confirm it,
Interesting.
that even though the robots themselves were physically there at the event, a lot of their actions, especially those supernatural-sounding conversations, were actually, being remotely controlled.
So it's like a magic trick almost. You see this amazing display of technology, you get swept up in the excitement.
Right, exactly.
But behind the curtain, there's, well, more to the story.
Yeah, exactly. There's that video circulating online.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw that one.
Someone asks an optimist directly, hey, how much of you is AI, really? Like, how much of what you're doing is actually you?
Right.
And its answer, super evasive. It says, like, I can't disclose just how much is controlled by AI. That's something you'll have to find out later.
Wait, so the robot basically dodged the question? You'd think if they had cutting-edge AI, they'd want to brag about it, you know?
Right.
What do you think the strategy is there?
It makes you wonder.
Yeah.
Maybe Tesla's trying to, like, manage expectations,
Yeah.
knowing that the reality isn't quite as advanced.
Right.
Or, maybe, and this is a thought, maybe they're trying to build even more hype, keep some things secret, create that air of mystery.
Ooh, clever marketing tactic.
Right.
But it also brings up some, I don't know, should we say ethical questions?
Uh-huh.
Like, do companies have an obligation to be upfront about the limitations of their tech, especially when it's something as potentially transformative as, humanoid robots?
Oh, absolutely. There are definitely ethical considerations here, big time.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out as this technology develops.
For sure.
But for now, let's maybe get back to those capabilities, or should we say the lack of.
Okay, yeah.
The walking, for instance. Yeah, the robots did their little strut on stage.
Mm.
But from what we're hearing, their movements were mainly just pre-programmed paths.
Yeah, and remember how everyone was giving the robots a wide berth?
Yeah.
Like they were afraid of, like, I don't know, suddenly veering off course or something? And were those signaling devices that some of the miners were holding? Any idea what those were about?
It's hard to say for sure without, more info from Tesla. But
Yeah.
it's possible, likely even, that those devices were for, like, real-time guidance or
Hmm.
course correction. Think of it like those early self-driving cars, great on a clear highway, but a human needs to take over when things get tricky.
Right.
It seems like Optimus might be at a similar stage.
Okay, so if these robots were being, like, remotely controlled so much, what does that actually tell us about what they can really do on their own? Are they really that far behind, or is Tesla just being, like, super cautious?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Right.
It's tricky. Yeah, on one hand, even walking a little bit, it shows real progress, like AI-powered movement is happening.
Yeah.
But needing a human to step in for something as simple as walking across a room,
Yeah.
that kind of suggests that more complex tasks, like picking up an object or actually navigating like a cluttered space, that's still a ways off.
So they're still in their baby steps, even if those steps are being, carefully guided.
Exactly,
'Cause-
exactly.
And this whole discrepancy, what was presented on stage versus what we're hearing about the reality,
Right.
that's something that even Elon Musk himself seemed to kind of gloss over in his presentation.
Yeah.
Like, remember how he kept saying Optimus robots will be able to do anything you want? But he was really quiet about what those robots on stage could actually do.
Exactly. Classic overpromising and underdelivering.
Right.
He was painting this amazing picture of the future, robots everywhere, seamlessly integrated, doing all the stuff we don't want to do.
Which, let's be honest, sounds amazing. Sign me up for a robot that can do my
I
dishes.
know, right? But
Amazing.
what he didn't really address is the journey, all the tech hurdles that still need to be cleared before we get there.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that this disconnect, this gap between what he was saying and what seems to be true,
Yeah.
it fooled some pretty big names in tech.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Gene Munster, pretty well-known tech analyst.
I know,
He
Gene.
even admitted that he was initially fooled by the presentation. He thought Optimus was further along.
Which isn't that surprising. It's Elon Musk. He's a master showman. He knows how to get people excited, build that hype.
He is a visionary, I'll give him that.
Oh, for sure.
And his passion for pushing the limits of what's possible, it's undeniable. But vision doesn't always equal reality.
Which is why we're having this conversation. We have to dig into the details. Separate hype from reality.
Absolutely.
So we've established that Optimus is probably not about to take over the world.
Right. Not yet, at least.
But let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
What about all those ethical considerations you mentioned?
Yeah.
This whole thing with the human operators behind the scenes, it makes you wonder, how do we relate to machines that are designed to, act like us?
It's a really interesting question.
Yeah, and kind of a lot to unpack there.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's a trip, right?
Yep.
Like, we're drawn to things that remind us of ourselves.
Yeah.
Even if they're like machines.
Yeah.
Yes. We give our cars names, get attached to movie characters.
Totally.
So it makes sense we do the same with something as potentially lifelike as these robots.
For sure, especially when they're walking around talking like something straight out of sci-fi.
Exactly. And when you've got a robot that not only looks human, but like moves and talks like one,
Yeah.
that line between machine and, like a sentient being,
Mm-hmm.
it gets blurry, even if, intellectually we get it.
Yeah.
It's still just code.
And that's where things get really interesting
Right.
and kind of messy.
Yeah.
Like, what happens if we start treating these robots like they have feelings,
Yeah.
even though they're just, machines?
Right.
What does that even mean for us, for humans?
It's huge EE, right?
Yeah.
It brings up all these questions like, what if, say, these robots become so normal, so everyday, that we, like, really get attached to them? And then what? The robot breaks down, tech's always becoming obsolete.
Right.
Do we just toss it out like an old phone? Or do we, like, actually feel something, like we lost a friend or something?
That is wild. Would we grieve for a robot? Would that be seen as weird? Or would it, become normal as these things get even more, I don't know, advanced?
Exactly. Uncharted territory, man.
For sure.
And here's another layer. What about our relationships with, other humans?
Mm.
If someone's finding comfort in a robot,
Yeah.
does that make them less likely to connect with, I don't know, real people?
Oh, that's like the whole debate about social media, right, and screen time. But, like, amplified, we're already figuring out how tech changes relationships, changes how we see ourselves.
Right.
Robots would just take that to a whole other level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we haven't even touched on the economics of it all.
Oh, right.
Robots taking jobs, sure. But also, what about the gap between haves and have-nots?
Yeah.
Does this tech make that worse?
It's like any big tech leap, there's always another side to it.
Yeah, always. And that's exactly why these conversations are so important now before it's too late,
Right.
We got to think these things through.
Yeah.
What does it mean to make machines that look and act like us? We need rules, ethics, before it's just out of control.
We can't get so caught up in the, ooh, shiny, that we forget to think about the consequences.
Exactly.
So those Optimus robots, yeah, the tech is cool and all,
Okay.
but it's the human side of it that's really key.
100%.
The choices we make, right? What we value, how this impacts society.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
That's where the real deep dive is.
Right on.
This has been, I don't know about you, but this has really given me a lot to think about.
Oh, yeah.
We've covered so much, the tech, the ethics, everything. So for our listeners, what's the one thing you hope they take away from all this?
For me, I think it's like, be amazed, right? This tech is incredible.
Yeah.
But also keep your eyes open.
Right.
It's easy to get swept up, especially when you've got someone like Elon Musk selling the dream, Totally. And it's not even just about robots.
Yeah.
This goes for anything new, any new tech. Just be skeptical, Don't take their word for it. Look deeper.
Do your homework, right?
Exactly.
Like they say, if it sounds too good to be true.
Probably is. And even if it is true, even if the tech can do what they're saying, think about what that means,
Yeah.
The consequences. What could go wrong?
We can't just focus on the shiny new toy.
Right.
We got to be, like, responsible about it all.
100%. We're not just along for the ride, right? We get a say in how this tech gets used.
We do.
So yeah, ask those tough questions, even if they make people uncomfortable.
Because this is a big deal.
Huge deal. This tech, it could change everything.
We're talking a tech revolution.
Exactly. And it's on U.S. to make sure it's a revolution that, helps humanity.
Okay, so last question, the one we keep coming back to.
Yeah, the big one.
What does it even mean to be human? Like, if these machines are so smart, so lifelike, what are WE?
Yeah, that's the question, isn't it?
No easy answers.
Nope. But the more we talk about it, the more viewpoints we consider, the better chance we have of, figuring it out.
Well said. Well said. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for, taking this deep dive with us.
My pleasure. Always a good conversation.
And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us. We hope this has given you a lot to think about Tesla's Optimus and, what it all means for the future. Keep those questions coming, and we'll be back again soon with another deep dive.